Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Centipede Geek. Today I'll be doing a book review. It's on a book by the name of Bird Box by an author by the name of Josh Malerman. I believe according to the publication date it came out in the year of 2016, about 4 or 5 years ago. There is a Netflix original that is based off this particular book. I believe it has the actress by the name of Sandra Bullock in it. I do remember watching that about 2 or 3 years ago now when it came out then, and I remember enjoying it quite a bit. I won't be talking about the Netflix original in this review much because I don't want to compare it too much, and also I remember bits and pieces of it, but I also don't really remember how similar this is to the novel. But the novel is, I just read it, so it's very fresh in my mind now, so I'll mainly just be talking about the book. But so what's this book about? Well, it kind of takes place, I guess you could say, like in a post-apocalyptic future, not like The Walking Dead or anything like that. More similar to, I can't really think of anything at the moment, but a post-apocalyptic future where if you look outside, something will kill you, and we don't quite know, and the book doesn't really let on it. That's why I kind of like the book a lot, the sort of the ambiguity of it all. You don't know if it's the insanity of just seeing outside that kills them, or if there's an actual, some sort of creature or some sort of presence outside that they see, and from seeing this presence, it sort of drives them insane and drives them to kill their loved ones, and even drives them sometimes to even kill themselves. But that's pretty much the main plot of it. They wear blindfolds and stuff like that, or close their eyes. And some even go to drastic measures to get rid of their eyes. I don't want to spoil too much, but overall, I really like this book. This is one of those books. There's a quote on the back here by someone by the name of Hugh Howey of the New York Times that says, "A book that demands to be read in a single sitting and through the cracks between one's fingers. There has never been a horror story quite like this. Josh Malerman truly delivers." And I like what it says there, because this, I didn't read over a single sitting. I read it just over a couple weeks period. It had some things come up, so I couldn't quite finish it all at once. But it's one of those books that really does best if you read it just in a couple hours, because it has that real nice sort of fast pace, and that real fast-paced, tense sort of action in it, that horror action. But if you read it just in a couple hours, that's how it really works best. Jamie Ford says, "Immersive, mesmerizing, and deliciously dark, this is the best kind of horror, where your imagination becomes your own worst enemy." And I like that quote a lot, too. There's a particular quote I'd like to share with you guys. Mild spoilers coming up on page 219. My favorite quote, probably from the novel. I should say major spoilers coming up. It says, "They used his voice because they knew you'd recognize it. This is it, Mallory. This is the moment you're supposed to open your eyes. How green is the grass, how colorful are the leaves, how red is the blood of the birds that spreads through the river beneath her." And I like that last part there where it says, "How red is the blood of the birds that spreads through the river beneath her," just because it has sort of an ominous presence to it. And that was just kind of a dark sort of that really tone, or the tone of that quote really sets the tone for the ending of the novel. But like I said, it caps out only about 250, 260 pages, I believe. So it's a really fast-paced read. I like in the novel how it goes from the past, when they're all sort of living in the house together, and like I said, this is mild spoilers again coming up. I like how it goes from the past, they're all living in the house, and then it kind of sets the tone of how they got to this certain point, and then it goes to the point to where she's got these 2 kids, but you don't exactly know where these 2 kids came from. And slowly throughout the book, you find these things out. And one of the most interesting things about the book probably is the creatures. Is there creatures, or is there not creatures? Is there something outside in the wilderness, in the sort of post-apocalyptic world setting? Is there something out there, or is it all just in their heads? And there's this great character. He's kind of scary in a way. And this is another spoiler coming up. It's by the name of Gary. And what happens is they invite this guy named Gary in. They don't really invite him. He knocks on the door, and they kind of talk amongst themselves. And at the end of the day, they decide, let's go ahead and let the guy in. He ends up getting closer to the guy named Don in there. They end up becoming friends, and they decide later on, major spoilers coming up ahead, they end up deciding, okay, we need to get rid of Gary. Gary's talking too much nonsense to Don. He's wanting to take the blinds down. They find a diary or some sort of book, supposedly from his brother, in his bag. So long story short, they all think they get rid of him. They all think they kicked him out. Well, Don actually took him further into the house and took him further into the attic of the house, if I'm not mistaken. And so he's been living in the attic the entire time. They have no idea. And when they find this out, that Gary and Dawn have been sort of, living in this attic together, talking to each other, having these conversations every day, and they all like Dawn, but Gary got to Dawn's head. Anyways, he's the one that convinces them to take the blinds down. And that's the whole thing about this Gary character is maybe Gary was onto something. Maybe there was something outside, or maybe people who agree with Gary. Maybe if I was one of them, I'm not sure. What Gary said was pretty compelling. What Gary said, maybe it just drove them mad. There was something out there, and they just, for whatever reason, their minds, their bodies, they couldn't handle it, so they drove themselves insane. Or maybe Gary was wrong all along, and there was some sort of presence or some sort of creature outside that would, for whatever reason, when they've seen it, it killed them. Either way, I really enjoyed the novel. I would be, I don't think they ever will, but I'm not sure about the Netflix film either. But I would be curious to see if they ever made sort of a spin-off or even a sequel to this novel, because the ending was really uplifting. And in my opinion, when you normally see horror novels or thriller novels like this, the ending's not that uplifting. And the ending with this has a really nice sort of touching, uplifting ending where maybe there is hope, maybe there is, a light at the end of the tunnel. And I would be curious to see maybe if the hope was all ill forgotten, if that hope, kind of goes away in a sequel or something like that. If it was all for naught, that would be interesting. I don't think it would ruin the first novel, but it would be interesting to see what route a sequel would take. But once again, that's my review. I would give this book a solid 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this. Something great to read during this time of the year, as we're all, hanging out in our houses, right? Once again, thanks for watching another video by Centipede Geek of my review of the book by the name of Bird Box. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe below. And as always, thanks for watching.